I wanted to talk to you all about the world and what the state of affairs in where we are in the United States. um, I have been waiting for this time for a very long time, for this time where people are waking up and recognizing that the way leadership is moving in our country is incorrect, for lack of better words. But it's been happening for a long time. But I would have to say that in my late teens, early 20s, I felt very politicized, very motivated to cause a revolution where we would take our power back as people. And I kind of lost interest when I realized how we are convinced that this is how things just are and how they should be. It's very sad, and they have most people working so much that no one can stop and take a moment to figure out how to undo this mess. And so for a very long time I've been sharing information about how to reclaim your power, and doing that through your intimate relationships, whether it be with yourself or a partner or partners. Yeah. So in the late 2000s, early 2010s, I was going to different universities to present at the Queer People of Color conferences. And I went to quite a few UCs and then some private universities. I did a lot of public education, or not public education, what is it called? Popular education. That was my teaching style. And so through popular education, I was able to share with a lot of people feminist anatomy and physiology, very much breaking down how it is our bodies work in terms of accessing our pleasure, and then also learning all the things that get in our way to access that and why. And so with how everything's going right now, and I felt like this is now the appropriate time to go all out and share what I know and listen to people's experiences and offer new ways to look at things, new tools, and give it a try so that we could develop more synapses in our brains and then have more access to the abilities that we have if we have more access to our full brain. And so one of the ways we do this is through learning new ways to access pleasure. It's very much like we are used to doing certain things the same every time. So for example, we learn to tie our shoe. We learn maybe 3 or 4 different ways to do it. We pick the one that works, and that's all we do, right? We rarely change the way we tie our shoes. And that goes the same with how we access our pleasure. Most of the time, especially those of us who were raised in a religion that restricts self-pleasuring, we eventually learn, the lucky ones, we learn how to access that pleasure, but we learn it in a very, just like not in the best way. We learn it very quickly. We learn to do it with shame usually. There's shame attached to feeling pleasure. Pleasure is a sin. And then we feel bad. So then when we want to do it again, we make sure that we have privacy. We make sure that we do it quickly and efficiently. And we rarely learn or know to savor that sensation. And it's a powerful sensation. And I think it scares us because the way we hear it talked about is so destructive, or, it's a scary thing to explore outside of your religion and marriage. And this is a way that we get shut down in our abilities to critically think, because if we actually had access to all our power, we would not be in agreement with how the world is being run. And we would be able to organize, because the sensation of how wrong things are right now would be so strong that we couldn't and we wouldn't be able to do business as usual. And so I've always wanted to help people transform their lives in terms of their sexuality and their ability to try something new, break their habits, their sexual habits, and, literally create new synapses in your brain so that you could think for yourself and for you to just have more access to what you're capable of. It's so hidden the way they do this, as a lot of it has to do with how we're taught to move our bodies or not. Having to sit 8 hours a day, having very little recess time, that sufficiently numbs our bottom. And, there's damage, there's central nervous damage, I believe, that happens when we are trained to not move. And then it's very easy for people to get 9-to-5 jobs and do them for decades without questioning how limited their life is within those constraints. And so sex, intimate pleasure, making love to yourself with others, that is a very powerful moment. And it's powerful beyond the pleasure we feel. It's powerful beyond the relationships we build in order to have access to those sensations in a, easy way. And so our understanding of sex and sexuality has been so limited to basics, reproduction, and that's it. And pleasure for phallus-centered pleasure is really what the majority of the world learns. And so with that heavy limitation, there's only so far we could go in terms of owning our power and understanding it. Within these intimate moments, the intensity of those sensations can be a direct reflection of our own divinity, of I keep saying what we're capable of. And beyond that, it's not just what we're capable of, but it's having the clarity, the motivation, and the interest in connecting with others on a massive level in a way that we could challenge how things are in any type of productive way. And so I think that at this point, you could see how absurd it is right now. And it is beyond anything I think we would have ever imagined. And so I feel like this is a way. This is one of the many ways. I think this is probably one of the quickest ways, because it's not necessarily people who went to university who are going to solve everything. And so I don't put a lot of weight on that. But everyone has access to their sexual pleasure for the most part. And it's the thing that we're all obsessed about, but we can't really talk about it, and we can't make it the center of our lives. But sex is a spiritual experience. It can be. Having access to your pleasure is a sacred act. And once we're at that level of understanding our power, we're unstoppable. And that's why we don't have access, because we would be unstoppable. And so if you're interested in being guided by me, guided by me in your own personal transformation, so that you could yourself could change your habits, and create new synapses in your brain, then you're closer. You're closer to changing everything, not just your own experience, but changing yourself will change everybody else around you. And as everyone shifts and speaks the truth and agrees upon how things should run, we could really make a difference. I've been so scared to talk about this for so long because the context in which I grew up and everything, it's just, it's very rebellious, it's very taboo. But the kind of person I am, I very quickly understood that my role in this world would be to speak on this subject and support all of those who are interested in making things different, immediately, as soon as possible, because the way we've been living isn't sustainable. And so here we are. Let's reclaim our power by healing our panochas. Yeah, panochas pláticas. Panocha pláticas? Panocha pláticas. All right. I just needed to get it out there. The end.